Welcome to Tarqaron. I'm Donkey Kong.
I am Madara Uchiha, or Toby, or Obito. I guess it depends on what era of the show that we're talking about.
Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I get all the
Uh-huh.
references.
You get them all. You get them all. You get them all, Zach. You're a Naruto head. You're a
Yeah.
Naruto fan. Naruto.
There's got to be a better term for
A Naruto.
Naruto fan. There's
A,
got to be
a
something.
Naruto nut. A Narutodo.
No.
Not, which is a play on Naruhodo, which is the yes, I understand
Ye-
phrase.
Hi. Okay,
Hey,
so
Naruhodo.
if you're new to the channel or don't know what we're doing here, previously last week we spun the wheel behind me, and it had a selection of random, specifically this time around for the month of horror movies on the wheel. All right, it's part of a series called Chance Time, where usually it's just a random selection of movies. This time catered towards the theme of horror, and we happened to land on Phone a Friend, and so we called our friend Rusty, who we just had recorded a video with previous, and I went through the list of options. He got some descriptions on a couple of them, and he landed on the Pumpkin Karver with a K on Prime Video. This is what we had to watch for the week, and we're here to review it. As always, though, in the beginning of our reviews, we do a gut check where we give what the score is that we're feeling initially, and then we'll talk about it, we'll do the review, and then we'll lock in our score, whether it's changed or not. All right, ready to check out what we got? 4 and a 2.5. Yeah. I mean, that's the range we're in.
Yeah. This is the range. This is the range we're in.
I mean, what a movie! What a film!
This movie sucked. This movie was ass. It was so bad.
Here's the thing with the Pumpkin Karver.
Yeah.
All right, it's a knockoff of things in certain ways. It's clearly in the beginning it had some elements of Halloween that they're ripping off. The way they filmed the trick or treating and the first person perspective, I was like, okay, this is giving me that.
Oh
vibe.
yeah, the very opening scene. Yeah.
But then when we were in his perspective for a while, which it turns out to be the boyfriend, and that's the whole thing. But this is something they definitely did in one of the Halloween movies, like almost very close to it. And even the whole prank, they just did the reverse of one of the Michael Myers tricks, where he's like, he took like with the boyfriend's costume and was standing there, and she thought it was the boyfriend, and then they did the thing where, oh no, this is actually someone who's coming to kill me, and then the brother jumps in, kills him, and it's like, oh, it actually was the boyfriend. So
yeah, he was just goofing. He was just goofing it up.
And there's some great, very likable characters in here we can get into. There's a lot.
There is not a single likable character in this entire cast.
Check out this movie. We'll try to talk about it in terms that you can understand, because obviously we don't expect everybody to watch it. But if you want to join in on the fun and know the references, The Pumpkin Karver on Prime Video. If you have Amazon Prime, I don't know if it's anywhere else. But it's there.
I honestly, I would recommend you don't watch this movie. I'm just gonna say that
I
you shouldn't watch
think
it.
it's unlike Alien Origin, it is one that's at least fun to make fun of, to me.
I had a good time making fun of it, but I was more confused and bored throughout most of it.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. All right. Well, let's first talk about. You got to talk about the beginning.
Yeah.
The boyfriend.
Yeah.
Just an absolute.
Whose
dick.
name was Alec, by the way. His name was
really?
Alec.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. His name was Alec. Yeah. Pissed me off.
That makes sense. That tracks.
It made me very angry. I'm glad he died. I wanted to kill him too. So
he was rough. He was
stealing
rough.
my name.
But he was like literally like, what was he like pouring champagne on our boy in the beginning? What was he pouring on him?
Yeah. He had like beer or champagne or something. He like shook up a beer and was like spraying it on him for no reason. He was also like practically like dry humping his sister like right in front of him. It was really weird.
That was weird. And then he did a burp.
Yeah.
He did a burp in his face, and he was like, "Oh, I don't remember eating that." was very just
It
very
was just
fun
like
personality type, you know.
it was the most unlikable asshole. It was just like it was done. It was a little over the top in terms
Yeah,
of how it was. It
really.
was just like, yeah, I get it. We're not supposed to
They
like
just
him.
really don't want you to have any sympathy whatsoever. They just made this abundantly clear. No redeemable
Mm-hmm.
qualities. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. And in this, the boy, our main character, Jonathan Starks, he's there. He's
Yeah.
carving his pumpkin. You know, as
Yeah.
he loves to do throughout the movie. He's carving his pumpkin, and then he comes. The boyfriend comes in, and we're led to believe it's a villain of sorts coming in,
Mm-hmm.
masked, ready to attack. He stands there for a while in front of the girl, which her name is Lynn. And
So hold on. Let's go back there for a second.
okay,
So the whole thing was about that was that she was talking about like, oh, I've got to go get my costume on, and then we can go and get ready. And then she said, oh no, but we gotta wait till all the trick or treaters are gone. But then I'll get my costume on and we can go after that's done. But because I have to stay with my brother to do that,
Mhm.
and then we can go party. She then proceeds to go upstairs and doesn't know what she's wearing because she's trying on multiple things. Like she doesn't know what her costume is yet.
Mhm.
So Halloween's it's a little late to maybe figure that out.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a little late to figure that out. And second of all, she still doesn't really know what she's wearing, even when she like goes down to the basement and is still like digging through stuff to like find like a costume. And it's just like, why just have a costume? It was so stupid, it was silly. So there's that, and then she thinks their boyfriend is there, Alec, and she's like, oh, I get it, and then he's just like eerily like breathing, and
Yeah.
she's like, haha, this isn't funny, and then he like actually starts attacking her with a knife.
Right, but then of course, as soon as he starts doing this whole like knife, like obviously purposely missing
Yeah,
around, I'm like, this is either really bad, but I was like, okay, this is gonna be him, and it's the whole thing. He's like, whoops, it's actually a
yeah,
prank, but he took the prank way too far. Obviously,
yeah,
that any sane person would ever do. He's
right,
like literally terrifying her to death, and not putting her at ease at all. Even when the brother Jonathan comes in to save him, like at no point does
yeah,
he try to like, oh no, it's just a prank or anything.
yeah.
Just
Like he doesn't like that's when you when the brother starts coming at you with a real knife. That's when you like I don't know maybe stop.
yeah,
Be like, whoa, 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 hold on. But he didn't stop, and he just, and so Jonathan stabs him like 45 times in the
yeah.
face and like a bunch of other parts of his body.
Yep, and I love
Um,
when the sister hits him with the, look what you've done.
yeah.
Like,
It's
come
just like, what
on.
do you mean? It's not his fault at all. What are you talking about?
It's like, okay, he's gonna
Yeah,
have trauma from this, that's for sure.
yeah,
But
yeah. The stab in the eye was probably my favorite because that's the one that looked the best. Like the makeup effect on the eye being like all like, oh,
yeah,
like that looked pretty good.
generally the blood wasn't very good in this movie.
No, it was horrible. It was horrendous. The gore and everything was just the worst. It was miserable.
Yeah.
But the makeup on that. So here's the thing. This movie was shot over the course of 2 years, and you can tell. And the reason that you can tell is because the plot makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah.
There's no continuity between any of the scenes. Everything's a messy, disjointed jumble of scenes that happen with no real like continuity between them. Up until like maybe the end of the third act is when stuff starts being like, oh, now yeah, we have dead people now. Okay,
Well,
there's
there's not much of a
there's
plot
like
to it. It's like you go to a party and then that's it. They went to the party.
yeah, but the thing is like no one. You need to have more of a plot. You need to have something more to hang on. When there's like a demonic entity that's possessing you, like that's like the whole idea of the pumpkin carver is like this demonic entity, and we have like
Allegedly.
an old man who's like a pumpkin carving hero. He's like the I don't know if he's trying to expel. He has the demon.
I'm still confused of his involvement in the whole ordeal.
I don't understand it either because again, this movie was a jumbled, disjointed nonsense. It actually makes no sense. I cannot. I don't know what the plot even really was. But from the opening scene, we cut to a year later, literally an exact year later. It's October 31st, and they're going out. The brother and sister are like merrily going out to the middle of the desert for a party, with a bunch of her college friends or something. They're a bunch of assholes, and none of them are likable or
Yeah.
funny or fun, even.
We got a guy dressed as Austin Powers. He was
Yep.
great. Really, really
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome. Hilarious.
Oh, behave.
We got a lot of action from the two douchebags who were um Boner and whatever the hell is the other guy's name was. I don't remember.
Okay, yeah,
What were their
this
names?
is a whole thing here. Okay, Bonedaddy and Spinner, of course. Don't speak on their name.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
that way.
Boner and Spin Daddy. That's what it's for.
Bonedaddy and
Honestly-
Spinner. My favorite part of the movie is when they come out and they're like literally ass out with like pumpkins on them, like wiggling, being the absolute menace to society. And the girls are like, oh, they're so
this.
weird, but I love it, right?
Yeah, this is like
because that's
what?
completely what we're supposed to get from Bonedaddy and Spinner. They're supposed to be, oh, they're such wacky goofballs, right? But
they're just like uncomfortable losers,
absolute menaces the whole time.
they're awkward losers that no human being would ever want in their company.
Like the first time they come up into the frame is they're coming up on bikes and they just say some stupid shit and they're like and wheel off, you know.
Yeah, and then the girls are like, haha, they're stupid. Get that? Why are we having this? And it's apparently they're like running the whole damn party.
Yeah, and
this
that's
is like you can't.
Bonedaddy,
I guess. Yeah, Bonedaddy and Spinner. That's their names. Yeah.
They did the okay. Well, there's a lot. Okay, so
yeah,
there's
not really a lot.
First of all, the actor for the main character just kind of gave me a little weird vibes sometimes. I wasn't a huge fan of the character of Jonathan Starks.
Yeah, very weird, very awkward portrayal. From what I understand, he's a writer more than anything. He does like he does like a lot of work in like indie LGBT films. I was kind of looking up some stuff about it because I thought he looked kind of familiar.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in anything. So
you did your research.
Yeah, so he apparently does some writing for he has like a company like that does stuff for like LGBT sort of stuff. So you know, good on you for that, I guess. But boy, you were in a real stinker of a film. You were in a real horrible movie.
So you got we're introduced to the old guy. Who's immediately just weird, and he's obsessed with carving.
Yeah,
like it's his passion or whatever. And then he's like, at points in the movie, he's really offended at their pumpkin carving contest. He's like, "This is all crap."
Yeah, but like, where is he coming from? Why is he just allowing them to party in a place that he like owns on his property?
And there's this whole exchange with him and Jonathan where he's like, "Oh, you're just like me. You're carving, always carving," and he's like, "Stick me, boy." And he's
and I was like,
"So are we stick him with the?"
Yeah. Was it because was he possessed by the pumpkin carver? I don't know. I don't think so.
Confused because then we find out the whole twist is that Jonathan is the one responsible for all the killings that we see, or like the carvings,
which we saw like coming, 15 miles away.
But then there's also there's the question of like, okay, so was this old guy involved? Was that all just imagined, or like what's going on there? I really still don't know. Like, was he possessed?
Because then Alec comes back. Alec comes back from the dead at the end too. So like that still doesn't make any sense. None of that makes sense. But
I don't think I think it was just that they're trying to be deep and be like, oh, he's like flashing between the two. He's like almost possessed by his demon. Yeah. But it's him. But when he sees his reflection, it's the guy he killed. But
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I will say, probably my favorite part of the movie was the old man. I mean, he wasn't in the movie nearly enough, I didn't think, but like he is like a working actor. He's been in like a lot of stuff on TV and film. He was on a few episodes of Star Trek. He's been in like a ton of different stuff. So, he was fine. I mean, he filled that archetype pretty well. He did like a decent enough job with the absolute pile that he was given to work with.
The
lead love interest girl was also super familiar to me, and she's been in a lot of stuff too. I recognized her from an episode of Drake and Josh that she was in.
Whoa.
Wildly enough, that was like what I recognized her, but she's been in like a ton of different stuff.
Which her character Tammy was really into Jonathan, even though Jonathan was given absolutely nothing and nothing in the Russo
zero
department.
riz from Jonathan.
Exactly.
So, yeah, zero. He had nothing, no game, zero game. She just
she was
immediately liked him.
All in, and
she was. I found her both like equal parts kind of cute and fun and adorable and very annoying.
But enter Lance, who is
hell yeah, Lance! I was so excited I was so excited initially when Lance was introduced.
Dressed as a pirate, absolute dick. Of course, he's there for no reason, and then, but he has to bring up, oh, he fucked in my truck last week. How about that? And he's like, oh, did I wreck something here? Sorry.
Yeah, and then he starts trying to like make out with her too.
Yeah, forced kiss. That was a
forcing kiss.
Little...
I was like, really, that was fun. Nothing like a little bit of assault. You know, you love that. You love to see that in your movies.
That's not cool. He was super aggressive as hell. Like, not only did he do the kiss, but he was about to like start getting physical, like fighting her. And then Jonathan comes in and he starts fighting him. I was like, oh Jesus, okay, this is a fun party.
And he beats up Jonathan. Yeah. Punches him a couple times.
Like, oh, I guess I'll go get more pumpkins, you know. All right.
Yeah.
But they also had like a crappy Hulk guy dressed up as a Hulk.
Oh yeah, he was like It was like the Lou Ferrigno Hulk, I think, is kind of what he was going for there. It was weird.
But yeah, with the whole Austin Powers guy, his name was AJ. Okay, and there's the first when we first introduced him, they had these three girls come up. He's like, "Oh, behave!" And this one freak comes up, is actually licking the camera,
and started like dry humping. She started like grinding on this guy. It was very weird.
Like, oh, I could totally hit that.
I was like,
never.
I was like, okay, so we're setting up like the sexy girls. It's the archetype of like the promiscuous girls. I was seeing where it was going, and that culminated in one of the most awkward, strange, uncomfortable, and least erotic sex scenes I think I've ever seen in a horror film.
I was still confused. I went back later and watched it again, and I was trying to dissect what's happening.
They repeat lines. It felt like it literally felt like they like set a camera up and were having them just like try lines different ways in multiple takes, and they just kept it all in the movie. It was so weird.
I was really confused what they're trying to get across here, because she kept saying, touch me, touch me.
Touch me,
and then she's like, film me. Touch me. Wait, no, wait. Give pictures. Film me.
She said that like, and I know it, and then she started kind of like moaning, and then she's like, oh yeah, touch me, yeah, film me. And it was like she said the same thing like 3 times in a row. And
he has hand in the crotch already. She's saying, "Touch me." Yeah. And then suddenly she's like, "No, AJ, no, stop!" As if I'm like, "What's happening?" I thought this was all "touch me, touch me." And then,
now she changed.
Whoa! But then he puts his hand on her mouth, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
and I was like, "Oh God, like, okay, we're going like a weird."
It's like he didn't seem like he was being forceful. She was saying, "Touch me," and he was touching her, and then suddenly. She says, no, stop. It was a weird reaction, but then he does the hand in the mouth. I'm like, okay, so he is being forceful. What's going on?
Yeah, well, that was the thing, because like he stopped, and I was like, okay, he's stopping, and then he starts like practically trying to like grape her. It's very weird. I was like, oh God, are we going this direction? And she like slugs him, and then he runs away. And then she gets out and she was like, I'm sorry I punched you. And it's like, what do you mean? You had every right to punch him. You said stop and he kept going.
Yeah. But it was giving very mixed messages the whole time. Like, how am I supposed to be feeling about this? Through like, there's so much touch me, film me, all this. But that was the whole thing. But it's like they needed to have it was like the checklist for stereotypical horror.
We didn't even see nudity. That was the thing. I was like, damn it. You didn't even show him. You're not even showing boobs, because she kept like covering herself up, and I was like, okay, so we're not even gonna see boobs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, all right, cool, I guess.
Just had to get the horny young people trope.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, she dies like immediately, and then the rest of the movie is distinctly not particularly horny.
Yeah. So she died. Somehow she's sticking her head out the car window, and the dude just slowly raises the car window, and she gets her head stuck in there. And then that was it for her. She gets slashed or whatever.
Yeah. Well, then
But
he carves her mouth, I guess, after that.
I guess so.
Because they find her in one
Was
of the
she was the
outhouses of
one
the
in that
shed or
house?
something, and she was and she had like her whole like
By the way, the
bottom half of her
reaction
face. That
to see she was alive and suffering, and they're like,
yeah,
run
and
away from
she's
her.
dead. She's dead. Yeah, they said, "Oh my god, she's dead. We found her dead." And I was like, "What do you
She
mean?
was
No, you didn't.
fully
She was alive."
And then they come
She
back, and
was-
of course she's gone. It's like, damn, poor
yeah,
girl was like pleading for help, and she just ran away
yeah,
because she looked scary, you know.
yeah.
Also,
That so the makeup on that looked pretty good too, because
yeah.
like her like they like did like a nose removal thing, so that looked pretty cool.
Also,
But
I watched this with my girlfriend,
mm,
who's a black woman, and we both took issue with what they did with the black girl's character, where the whole time she's like giving no impression of this, and then suddenly the outhouse, they're like, what is that? And she's like, girl, I don't know, we don't have that in the
oh
hood.
yeah, I was
I'm
like,
Jesus. So,
I was like, wait a minute, yeah, I watched this with my housemate. We were like, what? You're in like Arizona. What are you talking about?
yeah, it's like, okay, we just
what?
got to make her stereotypical just for
Yeah,
for one
yeah,
black
that
girl
was
in the movie.
that was yeah. I thought that was really stupid. I was like, come on, that's so lame. This guy was pretty gross.
And then after this, they had a couple of different kills. Okay, so
Yeah,
okay.
so that happens, and then we like cut back to like the party, and the party like no one really cares. There's just some awkward stuff like, oh, where's Jonathan? We don't know where Jonathan is, and then it's like, okay, and then what's her name, goes off and tries to find. Jonathan's tweaking out. You know, he's having some issues with the demon or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And so she like kind of like calms him down. There's some stuff with that, and then like cuts back to the party, and we see like Spinner and Bonedaddy doing random BS. Oh, they did stuff with like they were like drinking bugs. That was like one of the things.
Fuck
They were like,
going on there? Yeah.
yeah. I was like, you're not drinking bugs. No, to drink bugs, you need to like actually like mash the bugs up and like put water in there or something. Like that's what you got to do. Instead, they just were like
bug on their face and stuff.
full on bugs. Yeah, it was very strange. And then
everybody's just having a horrible time. And then
did Jonathan like purposely get her eye color wrong? Like I didn't understand how he didn't know what her eye color was, because they literally talked.
No. Yeah.
Even though she called herself the brown-eyed blabbermouth.
I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, she's like, people call me the when she introduced herself, she's like, people call me the brown-eyed blabbermouth or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And me and my housemate theorized that it was like a bird reference. She's like a bird or something. It's like, hey, yo, the brown-eyed blabbermouth. You know, it's like a bird's behind. I don't know, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, that's weird. And then
he immediately got that wrong. I was like, dude, come on, you can't remember the first thing she said to you?
Some guys are oblivious like that. Yeah. For real. I didn't remember the first thing she said to him, so it's on me.
Yeah, well, it was a bad movie, so I don't blame you.
I'm not there in his shoes, though.
I did also like the probably the most fun gore, I would say, of which there's very, very little. Was probably the spike thing, the drill
for the Hulk
through the guy.
Hulk guy.
Yeah, the Hulk get drilled.
Yeah.
But why was he there? Did he have like upset stomach or something? I'm trying to remember like why he ended up.
Yeah, he was like thrown up out there.
Yeah.
And
he was like vomiting.
He heard something going on over there, and he was like, "Oh, what's going on over here?" And then he just gets drilled.
And it was like a really kind of. It wasn't like the most amazing effect. In fact, it was pretty cheap, but like it was the most exciting, probably, death of the whole show. So.
Yeah. So Bonedaddy and Spinner. There was the whole like decapitation thing, which was pretty lame.
Oh yeah, where he was peeing in his open mouth. I was like, come on. I was like, they were trying to do some like shock value thing there, and I was like, it was so lame. It was so
own
bad.
Mouth. That's right.
He was peeing in his own mouth. It was like, this so. Like, this isn't even that kind of a movie where they're doing like this sort of like shock value stuff. It's like it just so that felt like completely out of place, and like mean spirited and like for like no reason. I was like, yeah, okay, we hate this guy, but like, but this is what I mean, where it feels so disjointed, because like at no point does AJ be like, hey, I wonder where that girl that I was just forcing myself on, I wonder where she's at. Like at no point does that ever happen. At no point does anyone really like wonder where anyone is, except for like the very end of the movie where Jonathan's sister, whose name I can't remember,
Lynn.
Where Lynn was just like wandering around looking for
Yeah.
Jonathan went. I guess she's like, I don't know where Jonathan went.
And then she finds the old guy dead,
Yeah.
right? Which is still like I'm not. It's just unclear what his involvement was, but yeah, there was the whole scene at one point that I talked about earlier where they're doing a pumpkin carving contest, as you do at these horny young kids parties.
Right. Yeah. Pumpkin carving. That's classic.
Yeah.
We also, by the way, we don't
Lance
even.
was so pissed when he didn't win or something. He's like,
Yeah, when
oh.
Jonathan won, which we didn't even see what he carved, so
Yeah.
we didn't see what he
A
carved.
single good carving, except for the very beginning, like in front of the houses. There was a couple.
Yeah.
Never since.
Yeah, there was nothing creative or fun with any of that. They showed like one, yeah, they showed those, but they also Spinner and Bonedaddy only had to see one pumpkin. It was just his. They're like, yeah, you win. Yeah, we don't even have to see the rest. They're like, you just win.
Yeah.
It was like, what?
So good, but then the old guy comes in like is like throwing all their pumpkins away. He's like, "Oh crap! Ain't none of you Carvers."
Yeah, it's just like, what the hell are you doing here, sir? Why are you here?
I'm still kind of confused about the whole name of the movie because they're in like where they are
Karver.
is Carver, but
Yeah.
it's with a C,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they're
Right.
carving, but where's the K come from? The pumpkin
have
carver.
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, this is crazy. That's the biggest thing that stands out is that it's the K, and then I don't
Yeah,
really
Pumpkin
know.
Karver.
Why.
I guess maybe because the demon as Karver is his name or something. I don't know.
Probably, huh? But then ultimately it all culminates, and yes, the twist is he's in the car with his sister Lynn, and they're about to leave after everything.
Yeah, so like everybody gets killed. Like the sweet girlfriend gets killed, and the makeup on her is noticeably really bad and rushed. And that was a thing where I was like, oh, you can tell that this is one of those things that they filmed, because like I said, they filmed it across 2 years. So it's very much a thing where it's like, it was very like slipshod, and they had to like basically had to get actors at certain periods of time, and that's why everything feels like so disjointed and like, oh god, we're walking around in like in like other B movies or bad movies. It's like you're walking around in the woods because that's all the place they had to film. In this, the woods are like a crappy backlot, which is just like barns and like sheds.
Yeah.
They're just like walking around in sheds. And like, this is just so boring to watch. So everyone just wandering. There were a couple times while I was watching it, it was like, oh my god, just do something. Like people with the conversations people would have would just go nowhere, and it wasn't to service anything. There was no characterization to any of it. It was just so boring and dull and awful.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was really the problem. It was boring. If you had more of the movie had like try to go for more shock value, I think, if you're doing stuff with like peeing and the guy gets decapitated and peeing in his mouth, if you'd had like more like stuff like that throughout the movie, like that would have been more interesting or acceptable, or even just like more violence, more energy to the camera work, more energy to the editing.
Yeah.
It all just like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So the twist at the end, after everybody get killed, it's just the two siblings left. Basically, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell the band went.
We
I don't know where everyone else went.
It doesn't matter. But they're in the car, about to leave. It's all good.
Which, yeah, that's another thing too. The police are just like, yeah, sure, you can leave.
Yeah,
It's just like,
good.
what? What do you mean?
And they're in the car, and she's looking over, and he's like freaking out, like, and he's seeing his reflection, and it's like the boyfriend he killed in the beginning of the movie years ago, and he's like, oh, just flipping between him as he's looking in the reflection. They thought they ate with that though, for real. They were like, this is great, like between the rearview mirror, but then she's looking over, and she's like, it was you all along, and he's freaking out for such a long time, and there's not a moment where she thinks maybe try to exit this vehicle.
Right.
She's just in awe, just like, oh my god, and he's like freaking out. He's out of control of himself. He hasn't done anything yet, but she gives him plenty of time to turn over and be like, trick or treat, and stabs her, and that's how the movie ends.
There was nothing. See, if it was like Pumpkin Carver, they didn't do anything. Like, they didn't like pop out anyone's eyes, or like you could have gotten interestingly, weirdly creative with
The
like
carving.
oh yeah, you like decapitate someone, and you like take all the stuff out and like put a candle in or something like that. Something
They did
like
something with someone where it was like
with her, it was with the
in the
girlfriend. They
mouth.
put like a candle in her mouth or
Yeah.
something. But like that was just kind of like boring and dull. Like you could have done something like really gross and kind of like messed up with that. But like they didn't. They probably just didn't have the time or the money to do anything like that. That's.
Right. But it went
But
purely for shock value at the end, even though it wasn't very
yeah,
shocking. But it's just confusing. Like, there's nothing of substance to it. Because it's like, we don't really
yeah,
still know what's going on here. Like, is he just haunted by the visions of the person he killed? Is he actually being controlled by, like, the demon of, or him in the afterlife, something? But, like, he
yeah.
kept seeing throughout the movie, he would see the guy dressed in the costume when he killed him that he had on, and he would be like, there's like lightning and stuff involved. There's a lot of weird elements to it.
Yeah, or like there was the time where he and the it was him and Alec were both like they were like fighting in the field. So we got a time where he saw like the entity of the pumpkin carver showed up again, and he like sliced him a few times. And then like after the vision ended, after like the hallucination was over or whatever, he still had like slice marks like on him, like he was still bleeding and stuff.
Yeah,
And then when he shows back up again and he's freaking out with his
and it was
sister, like
gone.
he's here,
Yeah,
he's still here. It's all gone. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Come
But
on.
but the wasn't there a point where his sister Lynn also saw the guy? Like we saw
I
was a
think
vision.
so,
We thought it was
yeah.
a vision the whole time, and there was a point where she actually sees him.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought so, yeah.
and it's the guy dressed in the costume. So I don't know if that's just supposed to be all like a metaphor thing, and it was just Jonathan. I don't know, but no, but it
Yeah, I don't.
wasn't because yeah, this doesn't really make sense.
No, none
But
of it
then
really
even at
made
the
sense.
end, it's just shock value because it's like what he kills her and then what he drives off. Like what about the other people? Aren't they
Does he
still
just kill
near
himself?
people
Yeah,
in
the
this
the
car?
cops are like right over there.
What was the point? It's like you didn't kill everybody; you just killed a few people.
What was the point is basically my question for most of the movie.
Yeah.
What was the point?
My biggest thing
Um,
going into my scoring for this movie is where it's like
mm,
my direct comparison I went to was Hybrid. Like, what did I give Hybrid? And I
mhm,
give Hybrid a 3. And I was like,
mm.
is this movie slightly better? That was my vibe
I
at
don't I
first,
don't think I would say because
but I
like
don't
for
know.
Hybrid I had more it wasn't a that was also a pretty boring movie, but I would say I remember having more fun watching that movie than I did.
Hmm.
This I was mostly
Yeah.
just angry and confused and frustrated because like none of it made sense. Hybrid was just bad and kind of boring,
Hmm.
but like it wasn't confusing. I kind of knew what was going on the whole time.
Right.
This was like I because it was so disjointed in terms of like people not seeming to care when their friends have gone missing and people just randomly dying and then the party's still going on. Uh, and there's yeah it just there's where they are at any given point, like how big is this farm that they're at. Like farms are big, but like there's so little like where they just like walking off and they have like they're like up on this back hill where they like looking over the town. I was like, how do they get up there? How far do they walk like 3 miles to get over there. Like what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean it was very frustrating.
What I'll
So
give it is that at least when we first started these movies and we were kind of hoping that we wouldn't end up with one of the Prime Video
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
And like Rusty ultimately picked it, but I was at least glad that it captured the spirit of the season. At least it's like
I
it still got the
I
vibes.
I will give you that. I will give you that. It did feel very Halloweeny in a lot of ways. Because it was like a party and everyone was dressed up and the costumes were shit. They were horrible.
Yeah,
But it felt right. Even if it was in the middle of the desert again, why? It still felt like it was like a. It did feel. Yeah, I agree with you there. It did feel right in terms of like the spirit of the season.
because like Alien
But
Origin, which we did a few years ago for this very thing, it's
yeah,
like doesn't give you any
no,
vibes or anything,
no, it gave you nothing. So yeah, this movie does have that. I will give you that. I will give it credit for that. But
so I'm glad we at least got that out of this theme of
yeah.
Chance Time. We at least got that. It wasn't like a good movie, but whenever we look at a list of horror movies, it's more likely to not be, especially with how many there are out there.
Yeah.
How many crap ones? It's like very unlikely we would just hit a good one. But
Well, Rusty was there was one of the, what was the one of the ones he was between? It was like the Pumpkin Carver, and there was another one that I was
I
hoping
forget what
for.
the other one was, but the one he didn't even bring up was like Mr. Boogedy. I thought that one was
Mr. Boogedy. Mr.
Boogedy.
Boogedy. Yeah, there's another one that I was like, oh, I hope he picks that one, and because it was one that I thought sounded. It probably would have been the one I picked, because that was the one that sounded the most interesting. I don't remember what it was off the dome, but
I don't either. But
yeah, well, it's what it
an
is.
experience. So let's lock in our final scores here. 3, 2, 1, flip. 3, then a 3.
I gave it a half a point bump for that. For at least it felt like Halloween.
I gave it a point drop because I brought it down to where hybrid was for me.
Yeah,
and
it's on about the same level. It does about the same level, I think.
I don't know. I could be, it could be like a 0.5 higher to me, but it's not enough of a differential, I think. So we ultimately end up with a Tarqaron score of 3. Let's give it a 3, which is the same as what we did with hybrid. Yeah, which is like, that's the whole other can of beans. But
yes, it was.
I don't know. It's just like, the only redeeming part of it is just the vibe of it and just like the spirit of the season. But other than that,
I was like, I concept wise, it's not the worst, right? It's like you have it. It's very Halloween focused, right? He's carving pumpkins. Ooh, that could be kind of, you could do some cool slasher stuff with that. They don't really do anything that interesting with that idea. You have it set at like a Halloween party. That's great. You have a party, you have like all the archetypes, but the acting was stiff, bland, and terrible.
Yeah.
And the writing was stiff, bland, and terrible. And the editing was stiff, bland, and terrible. So,
and even the twist in the beginning of the movie was just a play on a Halloween thing.
Yeah.
A Halloween movie, but
not all that.
And then
just
played on different tropes in different ways. So it was like, not too much of substance there. Yeah, all the characters really grating.
Supremely grating, yes. I would agree.
Get it? Like the stereotypical like Halloween party thing. You got all these kids doing their stupid stuff. They're being horny over here. They're being jerks over here. But there's nothing to hold on to, really.
Not even remotely.
All right. Well, hopefully we can get more chance times in the mix. We'd like to get back to like a monthly basis if we can. It'd be fun because I always love doing chance time. Movies we never would have watched.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, variety's the spice of life. You gotta have some crap in there,
Yeah.
So.
But you've seen like the cover of the Pumpkin Carver, like.
Yeah,
not representative of the movie at all.
Not at all. No, because I think they were trying to go for that idea with the mask, but it doesn't look like that at all.
The mask's not good. Yeah.
The mask is horrible.
It's just like a pumpkin face, like.
Yeah.
Not really intimidating. Well, because, there's actually 2 different, like, Pumpkin Carver posters I see. There's one that's just, like, a pumpkin with, like, a knife stuck in it, which is pretty lame and more representative of what we got. But then you have the one where it's like a face, and it's, like, all
face, and it's, like, it's, like, missing a nose, and it's, like, eyes are, like, all messed up, and, it's, like, missing.
I see a tagline that says, every face is a work of art. So, whatever that means.
And they barely did anything with that.
Like, I guess, if you go back, did he do something with every person's face? Did he do something with the Hulk guy's face?
No. Okay. I don't think so. Maybe when they found his body, he might have, like, done something with his face, but it was so short, I don't remember there being anything
not memorable enough for
interesting.
Me, for at least.
Yeah.
So, when you see the poster, it just reminds me of, like, those, generic, like, bargain bin horror movies, where it's, like, 5-in-1 shit movies. It just, like, looks
or
like
25 in one.
Yeah, really. It's definitely in one of those somewhere. But.
Yeah, probably is. That's probably how it gets whenever it was distributed, it was probably with that.
It's just tough. But yeah, hopefully more chance times on the horizon for sure.
Yeah.
What video should our viewers check out next?
Oh, well, go check out our review of the Devil's Advocate.
Mm.
Yeah, go check out. Actually, no. I've said that too many times. Go check out our review of Midnight Mass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's some good horror
yeah.
stuff.
That's some good horror stuff right there. Some excellent eating good.
We didn't have our Mike Flanagan fix this year. You know, it's become a tradition
Yeah,
for us.
it has been. Yeah, we didn't get it. Very unfortunate, but
Hopefully next year he's on Amazon or whatever, right? So hopefully something there.
Yeah, get something. Hopefully.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed, like the video and all that, and take care of yourself. All right.
Yeah. Take care.
Nah.